All right. So we have finally come to the end of Invincible season two after the long and unappreciated hiatus that they had in the middle of the season. We have finally had the last four episodes of this season two debacle. So we're gonna basically just go run through, give our thoughts, what we liked, maybe some things that we didn't like, and like we'll talk about our expectations for the future.
Yeah,
So
why a debacle? Why start with the questionable language? I feel like you have some thoughts.
my whole gripe is just with the hiatus. I don't like that they did a mid-season hiatus for four episodes. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the when we first recorded at the end of the break, right? With that
Hmm.
first part of these like last part. I don't know. It's confusing to even talk about, but I don't know. It felt like not so bad because it's like, oh, well, it's gonna, culminate into this like amazing, last couple of episodes. Now that, we've had them all and we've sat with it, it's still, I mean, it's still a very good series, but the hiatus does seem like way more pointless now because it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It's just like four more episodes came out, and that was that. So
Yeah.
yeah, why the hiatus? It did more to hurt things than to help for sure.
It definitely interrupted the momentum
But
of the
you know what?
show.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Um, there was it did get really funny and meta though when they did call out kind of all the work that it takes to animate an episode or really just kind of an animated series. Very
I was
tongue-in-cheek of
rolling my
them, but also
eyes.
kind of like
I was
yeah,
rolling
yeah,
my
yeah. It's
eyes.
you know, I'm not taking things too seriously. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, let's get into the actual story beats, and what we
Yes.
thought about, how it ended because it ended.
It ended. Season two's
What do you
done.
think?
I thought it was I thought that they ended with a bang. Like so for me, the first two episodes of this like second part of season two, I was kind of just like in and out. Like I wasn't really too invested in like what was going on. But I think once they rolled into um the last two episodes, I was more so hooked, especially with the introduction of Anissa. Like that was an interesting character, like and a new dynamic of like, okay, we're getting more Viltrumites into the story, and she seems pretty interesting. So I'm curious to see how that develops. And
Yeah.
also it made the whole like Amber and Mark storyline way more interesting. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was bored to death with their whole dynamic of like, oh, I'm so depressed because like I'm dating a superhero and like he does superhero things and I don't know like how to balance him being a superhero, but like also we want to go on date. Like it was just like I was getting tired of it. And like the fact that
Meanwhile, like Mark's mom is like going through it, like,
yeah, no,
I'm like,
literally.
things could be worse.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, Inissa basically threatening Amber, like right in front of Mark. I think it just, and then that ultimately leading to her having to leave the relationship. I think it made it much more interesting. Like it took away the whole like monotony of their dynamic that I was feeling for the past couple of episodes. And it was just like, okay, now something real is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost like every time they have those conversations, it's like you're like almost waiting for the other shoe to drop because it's like, yeah, it is pretty hard to be in a relationship with a superhero, but like it was just like a stark reminder that it's like not just like difficult, but like life-threatening and like,
Yeah.
seriously like dangerous.
Yeah.
And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was refreshing to like to to, I guess, have her be in a threatening situation. Um, but yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, and then I know that's a big one. Amber and Mark are kaput. And now there is an opportunity on the table for Eve and Mark. I know when I was watching the episode, the person I was with like literally cheered when like Eve admitted like future Eve admitted her feelings for Mark, and I was like, oh, like I didn't hate Amber, but I feel like it is kind of like a little bit of um that relationship, like Eve Mark is like a crowd pleaser, like a little bit of
Mm,
like fan service.
mm.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm interested to see where things go for sure because like even Mark have had a super interesting dynamic from the beginning. So that's a big one. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Speaking of Future Eve, I guess we can go back to like that whole sequence with Mark and Angstrom, that battle. I think him showing up at the house was it definitely took me by surprise. I know that we've kind of been following Angstrom like just randomly throughout this season. He's just been like doing his own thing, like going throughout like different universes, and we're not exactly sure what he's doing. Um, and then it gets to this point, and he's in Mark's home with his mom and Mark's brother, and he's basically just like holding them at gunpoint. And it was interesting to watch Mark try to like figure out how to fight him. Um, yeah, it was so cool. But yeah, I really appreciated that fight sequence. I think that for most of
Yeah.
this season, the character was kind of just like, I don't know what he's doing here. But they did a good job
Yeah.
tying it together at the end.
Yeah. And it's like he's like a multi-dimensional like traveler slash
Yeah.
super duper smart, like I mean, big brain literally dude.
Yeah.
So the whole time it's like, I was because we're not comic readers, right? Or have you read the
Mm-mm.
Invincible comics?
No, I haven't.
No, me neither. So the whole time it's very much been like, oh my gosh, like what is his like multiverse dominating play gonna be? But it was not that. It was literally just a vengeful play. And that was really jarring.
Yeah.
And out of context, I know I've seen that panel of like, I thought you were stronger. Like I was like, oh, when are we gonna see that animate in the series? And it's gonna hit as hard as it probably did in the comic. Um, I know for me when I saw that animated, I was like, okay, yeah, that hits hard because, Mark had to resort to like ultra violence, like, he like murdered the man, right? And to see Mark deal with that finally was a pretty good payoff.
I thought so too. I don't know, but part of me is like, why are you crying? Like, why are you crying over this?
And this is
Because
why
like
you could never be invincible, OC.
I guess so, because
I
I
guess
can't
so.
imagine living in that world where like this guy like broke off my mom's arm and is like threatening my brother and her life. It's like, uh, like if there's ever any
Well,
justification to
she
like kill
raised him to
somebody,
be like that.
maybe she shouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like the fact is like it's weird. It's weird having like protecting life as a virtue to the extent where it like puts other
Mhm.
people's lives in danger. You know what I mean? Like the fact
But
that
you loved
he
it in Man of Steel.
um that yeah, yeah, Morgan the same thing. Because like in Man of Steel, I'm like, oh yeah, no, it makes sense that he killed Zod because like Zod was gonna kill everybody. Like, of course he should have killed Zod because that's the and so like here, I'm like, yeah, of course he should have killed Angstrom because Angstrom was like threatening to kill his mom and his brother. It's like there's
Yeah.
there's no
But
reason why you should
Clark
feel
Kent
bad
was
about it.
sad about it, and so
Yeah.
is Mark Grayson. And we will allow them that because their mothers raised them right. I'll stand by that. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels to be drawn there,
Yeah,
with these like kind of like self-sacrificing superheroes for sure.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, that was like a definitely like a crazy moment. I mean, Mark's mom is like the only one that is like really like tethering him to this world and is like nurturing his human side, right? That's why
Hmm.
she was like pretty shocked that he dropped out of school. Like she thinks it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake too, because it's like, you know, he is like a ultra powerful being. Like the more ties he has to like actual humans and like human connection, the better for us. It's like I'm thinking in the long run for like everyone's safety. But yeah, I mean, that's something that we're going to have to see, like what the consequences of these things are like in the future.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, I am also, this was like the first time that Mark has killed somebody? Is that the case? Just like at all?
I think so. I mean, maybe like directly, like with his fists. I'm sure there have been
Yeah,
some collateral damage, when he's saving the day other times, but
yeah,
and
for sure.
yeah, it's never been his intention to kill anyone, that's for sure.
I guess, yeah, it just like it's in a show that's so like hyper violent as Invincible. Yeah, it's weird to think that I guess he hasn't really ever killed anybody or like gone after anybody with the intent of killing them. Um, so yeah, I guess I was also that was also going through my head while that was happening, while that scene was happening too. Is like, is he's acting like this is the first time he's killed anybody, but I was like, huh, is this the first time he's killed somebody? Because I can't
Yeah.
really
I mean,
like
yeah,
put my finger on any other time, but
that's the
maybe.
thing is like he's a big gun, but like he keeps it under control as much as he can because,
Which is
he's
like,
not trying to be like his dad.
but it's almost like I don't know. Are you watching My Hero Academia? It's like
I'm not right now. Sorry.
it's like Todoroki like determining like I'm not going to be like my dad, so I'm not going to use my
What?
fire side, the icy hot, like he has fire and ice powers, but I'm not going to use my fire side because I don't want to
Uh-huh.
be like my dad who's like a fire
But he's
guy.
killing people or what? Where are you going with this?
No, but it's just like you have all of this power at your disposal that you could be using, but just because you don't want to be like such and such, you're hindering you. Like Amber almost died because like of this Viltrumite who I feel like if Mark unleashed his power, he could probably take her. Like they said that
Anissa?
they gave him like an 18% chance against him in like a fair fight. And so if he like unleashed, I
Because
feel
yeah.
like he could go
He's a
harder.
persistent dude. That 18%, he'll run away with it.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. And I think
Speculation.
and his dad kind of alluded to that in season 2 of part 1 where he was like you need to unleash like your use your full strength
Yeah.
against
So,
especially when you're fighting Viltrumites. It's like, bruh, don't hold back
yeah.
against people like this. But it's hard, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Mark's complicated because he's not, full Viltrumite. So, he now probably looks back on all the advice that his dad gave him with like a grain of salt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or more than a grain of salt because he's totally discounting and rejecting everything his dad told him now. So there's that.
It's true. Speaking of his dad, we got some insight into what he's going through in the Viltrumite prison. I guess he's being prepared for execution, but Alan is coming to the rescue.
Yeah.
Um, it's cool. It's cool seeing like his glow up. Like he was able to
Alan is the best. I
go.
think everybody cheered when we saw that he was still alive. Everybody cheered.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
interesting seeing who
that
goes
was
toe to
cool.
toe.
Yeah, and Alan never interacted with Nolan before. So like seeing them communicate telepathically, it was kind of like
Yeah.
a big moment for me. I'm like, oh my God, like what is their dynamic gonna be like? And it was perfect. It was like comical and it was also just like super tense. Like, okay, like now it
Yeah.
almost feels like a heist, right? So I'm definitely like, oh, like I really want to see where that's going already. Like, how are they gonna get out of this mess? And I don't know. I just know Alan's gonna save everyone. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a comic reader, but
I
I love
am,
him. I think
yeah.
he's a crowd favorite for sure.
I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm sure that they're gonna have some like big escape. And it'll be interesting to watch. There was one moment, I don't know if you caught it, but like going back to when the future super team saved Mark from that alternate dimension. Um
Mhm.
when Robot took off his head, it was Rex. They called him
I
Rex.
I called that out when I saw it. I was like, wait a second, why is he Rex?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that that can't be a mistake. That's such a huge mistake if
It
so, right? That's
right.
intentional.
It's not a mistake. Like I know that they're the same person, but like they're not the same person. So
No, no, they're absolutely not the same person.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But like
does
and
Rex
they don't call
assimilate over? Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of
Maybe
crazy.
we could probably theorize. It just feels like, oh my gosh, I should just read the comics already, but maybe
Yeah,
they're actually not even from the same universe that our Mark is from, but they saved him anyway for some reason. Maybe he
maybe.
saves multiple universes in the future.
Maybe.
But I did catch that. That was strange.
Yeah, yeah. I was like,
Good
what's
one.
going on
Good.
there?
Thank you for calling that out. I did catch that. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Rex. Um,
Yeah,
to be continued.
to be continued. Okay. Any other I guess we could talk about I forgot his name, the glasses dude who kept dying and getting recreated. Um, he's
I
like
keep
a
wanting to call him like Hank, but
he looks like a Hank.
we'll cut
What
this
did you
out.
think? How did you feel about that storyline? Um,
Um, I do love, existential stuff. Um, and I feel like that is kind of the overall and recurring theme throughout this season.
mhm,
Everybody is kind of looking for their purpose, especially after like a post like Viltrumite reveal where everyone now is like in feels like they're in mortal danger and that Viltrumites could take over any second. I feel like that's a huge question for a lot of people, but especially his character because he figured out that all that sketch stuff was happening with him being rebuilt over and over again and now he's like fully, an android. Um
yeah.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, it's cool to see that like all these support characters like have their own like interpersonal issues. Um, y- you know, and like he's like, fully like a support character. Like he's supporting like, the people with abilities, like obviously like he's supporting Cecil. But then like it was also cool to see that he was like dying in like really heroic ways every time and then to see him come to terms with all of that and just like kind of help the other guy like literally talk him off the ledge
Yeah.
was really cool. I think that's something that Invincible does really well, like gives every character a moment to shine so that we actually like care about them. We like actually are interested in like their side stories. I liked it. I don't know. What did you think?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was an interesting little like addition to the story. Um, yeah, yeah, that was cool. I think that the reveal of like, oh, he's died like 39 times was like pretty crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting. And I was like still
Yeah.
partially like unsure of what exactly was going on until like they spelled it out like they're just basically scraping whatever's left of him and rebuilding him each time. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. it's like so much is happening to people all the time. Like even like duplicate reveal, like she's
Yeah, that she
all
didn't
right. And then
die.
Shrinking Ray, I mean, we figured out a couple episodes ago, like Shrinking Ray was all right.
Hmm.
And now duplicate and
Immortal.
what's his name? Neanderthal.
Immortal.
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 Randall Vandal Savage.
It's true, Vandal
Um
Savage.
y- yeah, I'm like that was an interesting one. They're definitely I'm like, yeah, they can retire. I don't care.
Do
No,
you
I
think they
like Duplicate
will?
and Immortal.
I
I
feel
don't
like they'll
know, but that
probably
was just
come
like an
back.
interesting side thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And yeah,
maybe. That was
it
just an
made
interesting side
sense.
thing.
I would have honestly like it made sense. I didn't like that they like were able to just kill duplicate like that. Like, why wouldn't you have a clone off somewhere else? Like, of course. So I'm actually happy about that. I'm actually happy about that.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff. Like it was kind of like a lot of people were literally going through it this whole season.
Yeah.
And it can be like a little like hard to watch at times. It's like, oh, like I don't want to see this suffering.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it's all about balance. Like we still have plenty to look forward to with like Nolan and Alan having to break out of everything, getting to the bottom of like, Nolan saying, read my books, and like,
Yeah.
there possibly being like crazy weapons that can kill Viltrumites or, you know, weaknesses for them like ultra heavy gravity and whatnot.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
it's all great possibilities for, ways to deal with the Viltrumite problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely curious to see how this develops. I don't know how is the Invincible comic complete? Is it a complete comic? Do you know?
I think so. 'Cause
Okay.
most people when they say they've read it, they're like, I read it. Like
Okay.
read it all.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah, I'm curious
we'll
to see
check later.
how it goes. I know that they have already started working on season three, so hopefully we don't have
Yeah.
to wait as long for season three as we did for season two. But
I
we
mean,
will see.
yeah, hopefully. I mean, yeah, hopefully they just like keep this formula up. Obviously, the interpersonal drama is great, but the action adventure part with like, everything going on in outer space with the Viltrumites and whatnot, like very much needed. Excited to see what goes on there.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, plenty to look forward to and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So if you have also seen Invincible season two, part two, definitely let us know what your thoughts were down in the comments below, and we will catch you guys later. Peace.
Peace.